Hello everyone, my name is Minghua, and today we'll be discussing about the debugging tool used in IDE. To be more specific, the IDE I'm using is Visual Studio and the version is 2022, as you guys can see here, Visual Studio 2022. So why debugging? I want to discuss about this because debugging is an essential skill for software developers. A bug is like an error that stops the program from running properly. So debugging is a process to find and to fix the bug. And debugging tool will help us to do this process easily instead of manually reading the code line by line. Debugging, the debugger tool will allow developers to see what the code is doing during execution and navigate the code step by step to understand program behavior. So let us get started with some key features of debugging tool in Visual Studio. First of all, I'd like to show you guys how to activate the debugger. So there are three ways to open the debugger. The first one you guys can see here, local Windows debugger. You just need to click on it and it will run with the debugger. The second way is to click on debug here and then start debugging. And yeah, the third way is to press the short key F5 on your keyboard. So that's how you guys will open the debugger. To stop debugging, let's say I start debug and now I want to stop it. So you guys can press here, stop debugging, this red square, or you guys can use the shortcut Shift and F5. And another way is to click debug here and stop debugging. Okay, so let us continue to move on to the next fundamental thing in debugging, which is breakpoints. What is breakpoints? A breakpoint is used to pause the execution of the program at a specific line of code, and it allows the developer to examine the program state. So you see this red circle here? It's called a breakpoint. There are three ways you can set a breakpoint at a specific line in your code. For example, I want to set it on line 12 here. So the first way is to right click at any position in the line, and then you see breakpoints here. You need to press insert breakpoints. The second way is to use the shortcut F9 on your computer, your keyboard. And the last way is to click on the space on the margin, on the left margin of the line. You guys see here this gray circle. I click on it and it immediately becomes a breakpoint. So setting a breakpoint is really easy. And to delete the breakpoint, you guys can simply click on it to delete it, or you guys can as well right click breakpoints and delete breakpoints. So now when we insert a breakpoint, you guys may be wondering what are these breakpoints under here. Conditional, trace points, temporary, and dependent. What are them? So let us walk through all of them. These are called special breakpoint types. and they're really helpful with each of them. The first one is the conditional breakpoints. First way you can insert it is right click breakpoints and insert conditional breakpoints. Or the second way is to here you create a breakpoints and then you hover it, you press settings here and you press conditions. So what is conditional breakpoint used for? You guys can see here there are two main functions of the conditional breakpoints. There's the conditional expression as well as the hit count. So the conditional breakpoint is only hit when a specified criteria is met, such as a variable equaling a certain value, which means we are expressing a condition, or we hit it after a specific hit count. The hit count is really useful for loop. For example, here I have this loop that prints out iteration from 1 to 5. So I press it and I'll type 3. So you guys can see here the symbol of the breakpoint changes. So you can start debugging. Alright, so when I click 3, it has run for 3 loops, 3 iterations. So now the first iteration starts with I equals 0, the second is I equals to 1, and after the third I will equal to 2 here, you guys can see, and as well as the other variable we declared earlier. So yeah, that is basically what a conditional breakpoint is used for. The second type is called a trace point. You guys can basically create it by right click, breakpoint, insert trace points. This simple. Or you guys can just hover here, right, hover through it, settings, and click actions. It also means trace point. So after you guys click on actions, you guys will be asked to type something here, because the trace points is used to print messages including the variable values to the output window. But it won't stop the program's execution, you must remember it. So let's say I click here, I want to make it a trace point, and we want to print, yeah, you guys can see the suggestions from Copilot here. There's one thing you need to keep in mind, that if you want to print out the variable, the value of it, you must put it in a bracket like this, var. Because if you type only var, then it would just print a string var. So yeah, I'll type value of var is var, and let's try it. Like, because we don't have any other breakpoints, so it just run and stop really fast, so we didn't see. So yeah, let me put a breakpoint here and let us run again. Okay, so you guys can see here in the output window, the value of var is newby. So yeah, that's basically the function of the trace points. Okay, so next we're working with temporary breakpoints. You guys can also create it with, right click breakpoint, insert temporary breakpoints, or you guys can just click here, hover through it, settings, and disable breakpoint once hit. From the name, you guys can already guess that it is automatically removed from the code once it is hit during execution. So it is really convenient for some cases when the developer only wants it to execute it one time. You can see. So if I start the debugger here, it stops at line 8, and if I continue, then the breakpoints will vanish. Continue. You guys see the breakpoint is already disabled, and if you want to create it again, you guys must click enable. So that's basically temporary breakpoints. Now we're coming to the last special type of breakpoint, which is dependent breakpoints. So let's say I create a breakpoint here, and then also a dependent breakpoint here. So a dependent breakpoint will only break execution if another specified breakpoint is hit first. You guys can see here, it only enables when the following breakpoint is hit. Here we have a previous breakpoint on line 6, so we'll click and it becomes a dependent breakpoint. So it is helpful for debugging methods called from multiple locations. Alright? So when we run here and here. Just continue. It will run as normal because the line 6 was already executed. Like that. So that's all 4 types for special breakpoint types. Now I want to introduce you guys to one more thing, which is function breakpoints. Let's say here I create a function. Okay, void new func, and we'll print out this is a new function. So from this function we can print it out. Sorry, let's say I create a new function like this. Is there any problem? I create this function called greet, cout greetings from the greet function. And then here in the main function, we'll call it let's build this project. So now in this greet function, I may add a breakpoint. It is special. Okay, so you guys need to click debug over here and new breakpoint. Here you guys can see function breakpoint. You guys click it and type the name. Name of our function is greet. And we click OK. So you guys doesn't see it, but there's already a function breakpoints here. So when we start debugging, it will appear here at the greet function. And this function breakpoint is really helpful, you guys know, to discuss things inside the function. Yeah, that's function breakpoints. I'll just delete it. I delete all of them. So we are still left with one last thing about breakpoints, which is breakpoint group. This is like a new type in version of Visual Studio 2022, which is only introduced for about 1 or 2 years. So yeah, for example, I create 2 breakpoints, and now I wanna bring them to a breakpoint group. So you guys can right click and add to breakpoint group, or you guys can, from the debug, you guys click new breakpoint and click breakpoint group. Let's name it debugging fun. Okay, and now we'll open the I want to add this to the debugging is fun group first. I right click, add to breakpoint group, debugging is fun. And now we can open the window by here. Let's see, where is it? It's not here, then it's there. Windows here and breakpoints. We open it. So this is the breakpoints window. You guys can see here, this is the breakpoint group, debugging is fun. And this is the breakpoints that we have already added to the debugging is fun group. Now, it is really convenient that if you click here, then it will disable the entire group, meaning that the line 6 will also be disabled. And to add line 3 to the debugging is fun group, it is also really easy. You guys just need to tag and do it like that. So yeah, that's basically everything about the breakpoints group. So now we're coming to the next part, next key features of debugger in Visual Studio. So when I click local Windows debugger here, it will stop at here, you guys see, and we have these three arrows here. You guys ever wonder what are them? They're called step into, step over, and step out. So basically, step into is a function to advance the debugger into the first statement of the method invoked on the current line. It also allows you to debug the method's internal code line by line. If you click here, step over, it will advance the debugger to the next statement. And if the current line has a method, then step over will execute the entire method and skips entering it, moving on to the next line in the current scope. The last one, step out, it will execute the remaining code in the current method and returns the execution pointer back to the calling method. So let's try them. Let's say I'll put a breakpoint at the start of this loop, and then we'll start debugger. So if we press step into, it will start, and you see, if we press step into, it will execute the line and come to the next line. The yellow arrow you guys see here, it just shows that this is the next statement to be executed. The cout iteration here is not executed yet. That's the thing we need to understand. So yeah, if I continue step into, we already see our iteration. And then we'll click step into again, another step into, and you guys see the I value under here, it has become 1 because now it has come to the second iteration. So yeah, that's step into. With step over, it will advances the debugger to the next statement. You guys know, if I click here, step over, advance to the next statement, click one more time, advance to the next statement, advance to the next statement, something like that. And the last one, step out, it will execute the remaining code and turn out. So if I click it, then you guys see we still have one more iteration, but the debugger has stopped because we has clicked step out. So yeah, that's basically step over, step into, and step out. Now when we start debugging, you guys may see a lot of windows open here. They're useful because they help us to keep track of the variables. First one is the data tips I need to give you. So for example, you need to find the value of a variable. You guys can hover over it, and here you guys see at the var variable new by string, or I hover at the I variable because this line is not executed, so it just received a random value. So next we come to the autos window. The autos window shows variables that are used on the current line of execution and variables before the breakpoints. So here we have the the I value and the var value. That's what the autos window is used for. Next, we have the locals window. It will display all variables within the current scope of the debugging session. Yeah, and here I only have one scope, so the locals window is the same as the autos window. But when you have multiple scopes, then the locals windows will actually show its value. The next is the watch window. Here we have watch 1, and for sure you can add watch 2 or watch 3. It allows the user to manually add and track specific variable here. So I just need to add an item. For example, I insert var, then you guys see I type in var, and now the var variable is being tracked. So that is what the watch window is used for. We also have the immediate window here. It enables us to type and evaluate any expression in the current context and get the result immediately. For example, here I type var, I receive the string newby as well as some basic information about this variable as the size, capacity, allocator. Yeah, so that's what immediate window is used for. We also have the code stack window. It shows the execution path of the code, listing the sequence of functions that were invoked to reach the current breakpoints, and it helps understanding the program's flow. For example, at this line here, 11, we are running in the main function, so you guys see here. New project is the name of the file, and the function is main, line 11. You guys can see. There's also some other windows under here, like this breakpoint. It is the same as the breakpoint windows I have showed to all of you before. It shows of us all of the debugging groups and breakpoints. And also we have here an exception settings, so it will break when we throw something. Alright, you guys may also see diagnostic tools here. It is used to diagnose things in debugging like events, the memory, and the CPU. So basically I have walked you guys through all of the basic functions of the debugger in Visual Studio 2022. If you guys find this video helpful, then please let me know. Thank you for watching.